In my opinion, the evidence beyond the document point is one of the easiest points to earn on the DBQ, and yet it is one of the points missed most frequently at the national reading. And that, my dear teachers, is a puzzle to me, and I reckon it's a puzzle for you as well. So in this video, we're going to figure out how to put that puzzle together in a way that our students understand and so that they can reliably get that point. Now, one of my favorite movies of all time is Rudy, which came out in 1993. Oh, Lord help me, some of you watching this weren't even born when that came out, and now I feel exceedingly old. But whatever, if you haven't seen it, it's the story of Rudy Rudiger, who grows up in working class Indiana and has an unquenchable dream of playing football for Notre Dame. But he has a major problem. Rudy has dyslexia and he can't get the grades that he needs to be accepted at the school. Additionally, he's very small and by all accounts has no business playing football, but he longs for it nonetheless. Not to be too dramatic, but your students are like Rudy when it comes time to earn that evidence beyond the document point. The rubric says that a student will earn this point if they use at least one additional piece of the specific historical evidence beyond that found in the documents relevant to an argument about the prompt. And students seem unable to interpret what that means. It's like someone telling dyslexic Rudy, you just read your textbooks and you get good grades. And in that case, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't know what I'm seeing here. And therefore, students tend to make three common mistakes when it comes to earning this point. First, their evidence is too vague. Second, their evidence is unrelated to the argument. And third, they don't demonstrate how the evidence is related to their argument. And all of these mistakes grow from the soil of misunderstanding how this point is earned. And in the face of multiple failures to earn this point, our students can begin to think that they're just too small to play for Notre Dame. They don't have what it takes to earn this point. But they can, and we can help them. I mean, Rudy was rejected 3 times from Notre Dame, but finally he was admitted. He showed up to football tryouts, and though it was clear that he was the smallest and the weakest guy out there, he worked harder than anyone on the field, and eventually he earned himself a spot on the practice team, but that still wasn't enough for Rudy. He wanted more than anything to play in a game. And that is how your students are going to earn this point as well. It's only a matter of understanding and working hard. So the first solution is understanding. How can we help our students grasp what this point requires? Well, first, they need to understand what this skill is supposed to demonstrate. And as you know, on a DBQ, the students are given 7 documents which can be used for evidence to support an argument in relation to the given prompt. And the College Board put the EBD point on the rubric to see if the student can think beyond those documents and find another piece of evidence not mentioned in the documents to support their argument. So I tell my students to think of the evidence beyond the document point as a kind of 8th document. It's like they're saying, we've given you 7 documents and we think you're real smart, so can you think of another one that we have not given you? And so once they understand what they have to do, they also have to work hard. And the hard work I'm referring to is knowing the content of the course. If they don't know the content of the course, they will always struggle with this. There's no shortcut, there's no hack, there's no way around this. They just have to know the content. And then once they understand that and they've worked hard, the students have to know how to use evidence in service of an argument. And for that, I've got an acronym for you, and here it is: VET. V-E-T. Vocabulary, explain, tie back, and let me show you what I mean. To earn this point, the student must use vocabulary. Now, I know that among ourselves, we teachers usually talk in terms of using specific historical evidence, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I found that students don't understand that nomenclature. What we're saying is not what they are hearing. So I found that what they do understand is the word vocabulary. In order to earn this point, you have to use a word that is bolded in your textbook, and they seem to understand that, and it prevents them from being too vague. Then they need to explain that vocabulary word, and essentially that means they need to define it. They can't just say, Columbian exchange. They need to say the Columbian exchange was a two-way transfer of food, minerals, diseases, and people between the New World and the Old World. And that is where a lot of students stop. They feel really good about themselves that they remembered a vocabulary word and that they could define it. But in most cases, they will not earn the point there because they need to go one step further and tie back that explanation to the topic of the prompt. In other words, they need to show why that piece of evidence is relevant to their argument. So in this case, one more sentence would suffice. The exchange, especially in terms of enslaved people from Africa, had significant demographic effects on the Americas by introducing a rigid social hierarchy, and on Africa by draining communities of working men. And look, just talking teacher to teacher here, I know that is a simplistic evaluation of the effects of the African slave trade, but that sentence is probably all that most students could muster. And you know what? That is enough to earn the point. And I think if we can focus exclusively on this skill in our classroom, students will begin to find that they no longer are consigned to the practice team. In fact, in the last game of the season, Rudy got his chance to play, and in the waning seconds of the game, he triumphs by sacking the quarterback. The crowd erupts with applause, and Rudy's teammates carried him on their shoulders off the field. And look, I'm a grown man, and I cry every time I see that because he worked so hard, and he overcame so many obstacles, and finally, Rudy triumphed. And I think if we give our students a simple way to understand the evidence beyond the document point, they too will overcome their obstacles and feel the triumph of accomplishing what they thought was impossible. Oh man, I'm tearing up. Don't look at me. Now, students also have trouble with document analysis, so click here to see how I teach it and hopefully demystify the process. Additionally, you can subscribe if these videos are useful to you, and that will send me the signal to keep making them. I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Heimler out.